State-influenced media, which is media that is in some way influenced or controlled by the government, affects over 50% of the world's population. That's about 3.5 billion people who live without proper access to information. 3.5 billion people who fall victim to a system which props up oppressive regimes and stifles democracy. Obviously, this is a huge problem. State-controlled media and propaganda are integral parts of the North Korean machine and some of the few reasons it continues to exist. It's so widespread, in fact, that all of the characters in Barbara Demick's Nothing to Envy were impacted by it in some fashion. These effects can be rather minor, like Chang Bo's job in a propaganda office, or major, like characters such as Mi Ran and Oh-ki doubting the extent of the regime's lies even after they've escaped. It also impacts North Korean society in many ways. The lack of information provided to the average citizen causes them to genuinely believe that North Korea is at the forefront of modern society. State-influenced media is still very prevalent in the modern day. After all, Nothing to Envy takes place recently, and the issues faced by the book's characters still affect people around the world. Dictators and other forms of oppressive governments use the media to support themselves in two main ways. Most obviously, they manipulate media content in order to avoid criticism that could in any way imperil their ability to stay in power. Less obviously, however, is the possible use of the media to allow weaker autocratic governments to fool citizens into believing that the government is sufficiently strong. These uses of media come with the side effect of inhibiting the coordination required for effective collective action against the government by influencing whether citizens believe that other citizens will act. This effect was seen during the Eastern European revolutions against Soviet rule in the late 80s and similar revolts against the Soviets in the German Democratic Republic. These examples show how state-influenced media affects people living in dictatorships, but it also affects people living in countries we consider to be democracies. Politicians in these countries can shape news by attacking rival news outlets while expanding and raising the profile of friendly ones. This was a tactic recently used in some effect and to moderate avail by the Trump administration. Countries around the world are also attacking journalists as a way to crack down on the availability and spread of information. At the time of recording in June 2021, journalists in Belarus have been detained and are currently being held in various prisons. I have devised a three-step plan that could help bring free and unbiased media to many people worldwide. The first step, which is more short-term, is to donate to a charity which focuses on independent media, such as Free Press, Freedom House, the Human Rights Watch, or the Freedom of the Press Foundation. Each of these charities are rated over 95 out of 100 on charitynavigator.org and support free media throughout the world via projects and lobbying. The second step, which is slightly more long-term, is to help educate yourself and your community on the signs and dangers of biased media, and to urge these members of your community to broaden the platforms from which they intake media in order to limit the chances of falling victim to said biased media. The third and final step, which is on a more global scale, is to urge major legislative bodies, including the UN and your country's government, to pass laws which protect journalists and condemn the limiting of information. Examples of these include the UN Resolution 21/12, which concerns the safety of journalists, and the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, which promises free press. While there is no way that a teenager's class project will eradicate state-controlled and influenced media forever, I think that my solutions could have some impact and hopefully help push the world in the right direction. When dealing with a problem as widespread as this, any slight improvement is a large help. If the world hopes to move in a more democratic and fair direction, tackling the issue of state-controlled media is paramount. After all, as Thomas Jefferson once said, our liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, or if you're in my English class and just watched this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more yearly content.